Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and as always, we are joined by Ethan Daffy, who is currently still in Byron Bay. If you didn't see the preview, he is still living up in Byron Bay after a win against the. Oh wait, no, sorry, we actually lost against the Brisbane Lions. Final scores were Carlton 9 goals, 12, 66 to the Brisbane Lions. 15 goals, 13, 103. A routine loss for the Carlton Football Club. It's pretty bad that we've gotten to the point now where we're just expecting losses. That's now 4 in a row, which is a very big worry for where we are kind of in this tricky stage in the history of the Carlton Football Club where we should be contending for a flag and yet we're struggling to find wins, and now we're at a 4-loss streak. It's just like a 4-match loss streak, whatever you call it. It's just, yeah, it's a serious worry. But Daffy boy, I'll throw straight to you. How are you? You obviously watch the game on the TV, so want to hear your thoughts, of course. But how are you and how's Byron Bay?
No, it's good, mate. Heading home tomorrow, which is that's a bit of a shame. But that's good to head home. But no, all the footy talk, I don't think there'll be as much of a pile on this week. You know, I still think the questions will be asked, but realistically, I think at our best, we probably can't even beat Brisbane. So they're a quality side. So you told me before the game, like, this is not me accepting the loss, but if you told me before the game we lose by 6 goals, I'd probably be okay with it, considering how badly we've played. So yeah, bit of a frustrating one. I think there was moments in the game. I think when we were within 3 goals and we had chances to bring it within 2 goals to make it a game, is what's frustrating because we did put ourselves in good positions, which I was pretty happy about. They were battling on, even though there was some, obviously, Lockie Cowan running into the umpire who was in the way. There was a few of those moments not going our way, but you know, we kept trying. We kept trying. I know that's the bare minimum, but when things not don't go your way in AFL, some teams have that mental capacity to keep going. And we did, and like I said, we got within 3 goals, probably with what was it, 6, 7 minutes to go in the second quarter, and had shots on goal to bring it underneath that, and weren't able to do it, which is just it's just frustrating that you just shoot yourself. It's just been the story of the season, shooting ourselves in the foot, and then every week, I think it's the same stuff, but I feel like we keep adding a new thing that shoots us in the foot. Whether it's I think kick-outs has been a big issue of our season. I think the last 5 years, to be honest, I think with this group, we've just never had the right kick-out set up. And then you look at the other side, when the other team kicks out, we don't set up off our own set shots, which is local footy shit, Patto. So, yeah, I think the good old word stick fat is seems to be the line. But yeah, I think I don't want to be cliche, but I think these next, what is it, 6 weeks, we just got to ride it because the changes will be made. I can guarantee you, whenever Graham Wright is in, I think he's August 15 or whatever, which is probably around the last round. Whenever that game is finished, I'll give it 2 days for the changes to be made. I don't know what changes will be made, but there will be. I'll be expecting it from Righty. So, yeah, frustrating night, but what can you do, Pato? We can't get angry anymore.
It's just like I was going into this game today, and like I spoke to my girlfriend about it because obviously she's a Brisbane supporter. I also got a call from mum on my way to work, and it's just like I'm
Mm,
just at the point of like I just don't even care. Like
mm,
I kind of wanted
mm.
to see a bit of something, like something tonight from the Carlton point of view. But I just knew that we just didn't have the ferociousness to actually win this game tonight. It was just something.
No.
It was the first time since probably 2021 that I've headed into a game and I am actually like at the point of I'm just not expecting a win. Simply,
Mm.
I am just not expecting a win. I know that like the past few weeks have been playing pretty ordinary football,
Yeah, yeah.
but I was just walking in tonight and I'm like, there's just no way that we win this game. And even when we were kind of around it, and it was also well said about how you mentioned the umpire moment, and there was just other like key moments also with the Will Ashcroft goal from outside
No.
50, how there was 5 or 6 players in the goal square. From a Carlton point of view, there was
Oh, yeah.
like
That
5 or 6 Carlton players, and they still couldn't, um, like not one of them could stay on the fucking goal line and try and punch a ball through, knowing that Will Ashcroft probably doesn't have the distance in him, and he just had the distance in him, but like barely. If there was a player on the line, it wouldn't have been a goal. So just small moments like that I feel like in past games this year, if that happened, if that moment happened, we probably would have probably bowed our heads and the game
yeah.
would have been done. And even when they kicked the first 3 goals in quite unusual fashion, I know
Mm.
that one of those goals was including the Cowan moment with Nick Haynes when he kicked it into the middle and Cowan ran straight into the umpire. So that was one of the moments.
Yeah.
And I know that on the broadcast they mentioned like let's hope that they actually can respond from this,
Mm.
because you're kind of expecting Carlton, the way that we've gone this year, to just bow our heads and not really show a fight. But I think against a established team, a very good team, and probably one of the premiership favourites in Brisbane, to try and find a way back into the game, and realistically probably should have done more damage. I know that when
Yeah.
we had our opportunities, and we had
Mm.
multiple opportunities, including the Lockie Fogarty miss, the Jesse Motlop miss, Charlie Curno's misses, um, those crucial misses, what I noticed with a lot of them is as soon as we had those chances, they would go back and kick a goal. And one of them was the Charlie Curnow left foot snap miss, and then literally 20 seconds later, Patrick Cripps had it shot on goal, miss as well. They said on the broadcast, 2 key leaders with pretty easy chances, let's be real. And then they straight away go and kick a goal through Logan Morris. So that was a moment that stuck in my mind from tonight. That
Mm.
was just shows kind of that we're just a class 2 or 3 below what
Mm.
Brisbane Lions are. And that's quite a worry, knowing
Mm.
that last year we should have been improving year by year by year by year. And I'm hearing the past few years, I know Michael Voss, when we were kind of experimenting the defensive side of things in 2023, like be comfortable being uncomfortable was the key word that was stated in
Yeah.
that interview. And yet I just am not really seeing that tonight. I just feel like we are just mentally shot. And I know that we've been saying that the past few weeks, but I just don't know what else to really say. Because
No.
I feel like tonight was a bit different because we were better.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
Pressure
We
was good
were.
in the first half. But just as a whole, I just was like, yeah, this is just the realization that as to these players just simply aren't good enough. I think it's realized tonight that Vossi isn't really the problem. I know we've been saying it the past few weeks. I know that there's probably things that he can do better, but
Of
I think
course.
those things um, are having assistance by better assistant coaches. In my opinion, I feel like if
Mm-hmm.
there was better assistant coaches, that probably wouldn't have happened tonight, and we probably would have been better tonight. So, hearing all of those things, I want to hear your thoughts on that side of things, and if you probably think it could be Michael Voss, if you think the players just seriously these players just simply are not up to it from a mental standpoint, but also from a skills standpoint, but also just other things to really start with our initial thoughts with what else you really thought with this game tonight, because I think the effort was better, but as you love to
Mm-hmm.
say, effort really isn't good enough at this point in time.
Yeah, no, I thought we were much better tonight. I know that seems, people will be, I've seen some comments. I've just read over since full time on Twitter and all that, just to get a gauge on where my thoughts are at and other people's thoughts are at. And I think, I'm not going to say people are harsh because this is not acceptable, but I think it was a lot better than the last 2 weeks. And Brisbane are a great side,
Yeah.
so. You can't take it away from them. And, I thought I spoke about Dunkley in the preview and I thought he was phenomenal tonight. So ending with the medal, and I think what it comes down to at the moment is the mental kind of spiral of confidence at the moment. They're just shot. Even if they are up to it, I think the guys who are up to it are also mentally shot. The season's done. And I know we spoke about in the preview that they shouldn't have that mindset, but it's there. It's clear to see. Obviously the season's over. We can't play for anything. I know that people go play for pride and all that kind of stuff, but when the season's been that negative, it's pretty hard to come back from that. We might have one win or two wins, who knows, in the next six. But I just think it's at the moment it's a big mental thing. I think there's a lot of guys who probably shouldn't be in the best 22, but I also think there's a lot of guys playing under themselves. So I think I've said it in the previous weeks. I'm not saying we can just go make decisions and we're going to be top of the ladder, but I think if you speak about it with you want your players to be 5 to 10% better every year, especially the ones that are you know 19 to 23. Cripps can't go 5 to 10% better because he's at the peak of his powers. So yeah, I thought he was fantastic tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just about those guys who've been a bit under themselves. We spoke about Chera during the game. You know, he needs to get back to wherever he was. He's best, and I'm not saying his best is the world's best, but he's best. And it's the same with other players. We need those types of players to get back to their best. Wiedering spoke about it in the preview. It's just terms of we know he's best. His best is the best in the competition defensively. So for next year, I know people are going to go, Daf, don't talk about tonight, but we're not going to get anything out of this year.
Exactly.
Then we're going to get, the younger guys who I thought were, O'Farrells and Moyes, and we're going to see those moments, which is great. But for next year, it's a clean slate. You don't want to always look back. If you look at 23. We spoke about that year and it was great. I thought 24 we had probably a lot of good patches of footy, and ultimately fell short at the back end of the year. But when it gets to pre-season first day, don't be thinking about this year. They should be going, we need to set our standards higher. And if we have a dozen players improve by 5 to 10% of what they are playing like now, Patto, the results will come. I just know it. But the issue is, will they do it? And we just got to hope. But for them, it's putting in the hard work. And I think that's, in my opinion, I just think it's a lot of guys just playing under themselves slightly. And you show the margins. Look at the margins. You look at teams like Freo. They're so inconsistent at the moment because when they play really well, Sarongs have 40, and then last week he has 12.
Mm.
It's that playing under yourself, and when you have too many guys, you can't carry too many guys who are playing under themselves. So I think it's not like this. It's a lot of hard work, but I think they can get back to where we know they can play these players. That's the frustrating part, I think, for me and you.
Yeah, well, I know that we spoke about it after the game, or even just probably the last quarter, even about
Mm.
that 2023 season, how there were so many players that, in our opinion, was probably playing 10% or 20% higher than their actual ability. And I feel like a lot of those players were probably playing 20% better than
Mm.
their best ability because
Mm. Mm.
purely off emotion and adrenaline and the
Yeah.
like
Just
heading
good
into
form.
2023 season, not really having really much pressure. Like you were kind of just playing free football.
Mm.
And we can name the guys like the Lockie Fogartys, the Adam Cheras. They were the guys that really stood out in that season. Um, and they're probably the guys that this year that we've kind of really singled out. I think Cheras had a very good season. I think
Yeah, yeah.
he's probably last month of
It's just
football
the
has been,
expectations. It's just
yeah.
the expectations of him. I think we need to just lower them a little bit. I think that's where we need it with the whole Shero conversation.
Mm. I think he has been off the probably past month and a bit, but
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I think this year has been quite solid. But we have to try and lower the expectations with a guy like Chera because I don't think we need to expect. I mean, I don't think we should be expecting him to be a Patrick Cripps or to him to be like a Sam Walsh in 2021. I just don't think we really need to be because and it's all due respect to Chero. I just don't think he has the capability to do that. I think
Mm.
2023 was kind of, I mean, it
Yeah,
was
he was good. It was,
very good. But I think it was purely off that adrenaline side of things, and
mm,
a lot of these guys were playing 10%, 20% higher than their best ability. Um, but you mentioned there about a lot of the younger guys as well performing tonight, which I think was great. I think like Moyes and the O'Farrells, I think they were really good. I think to an extent, I think Durden showed something, not
Yeah.
a lot, but like at least he might be able to keep his spot. I don't think he was anywhere near our best, but I think that's the problem where like a lot of these guys just aren't really performing at the moment. I think Flynn Young had glimpses. I don't think he was overly great. I think Matt Carroll was solid enough. I know that he had a lot of like bad moments, but I think that's kind of like no one really looks at the good moments that he actually did tonight because
Mm.
those bad moments were so bad with the Camerons and the Rainers. But I just don't think it should matter because he's a young kid. He's trying to take the game on. He had the right idea.
Mm.
And I think it's more down to the defensive team trying to tell him, mate, you're under pressure. Get rid of the fucking footy. But
Mm.
no, like, I don't know what that is down to.
Yeah.
It's more confusing at the moment. It's so many more questions than answers. But what were your thoughts on the young kids tonight? I know that you've mentioned them a bit, but even to an extent, Lockie Cowan had a good game as well. Ollie Hollands keeps on doing his thing. I think he still needs to improve his kicking, but he
Mm.
was still like solid enough tonight. But those kinds of 4 or 5 players there, the younger guys. What did you think of those guys tonight?
Yeah, I think Carroll made some mistakes that probably, I think it shows the levels of where he can get to and the level of the Brisbane Lions. Like it's a far level from playing Brisbane to playing VFL footy. I know he's played 11 games now, but 11 games is barely, touching the surface, Patto. But yeah, those people are piling on with those mistakes. Like they're not good mistakes. But my thinking is, wouldn't you rather him make those mistakes right now than the first 4 weeks of next year when our season's back on and we're trying to, push for finals? So I'm not saying those are acceptable, but the mistakes that have to happen, when you're younger, you learn. You've got to learn by failing, unfortunately. That's just the way of life. I'm sure we've all done it in life. When you make a big mistake and then forever it's ingrained in your head. I'm never going to make that mistake again. It's the same thing in normal life, and that reciprocates on the footy field. So, we've seen superstars of the game make mistakes when they're young. Harrys and Cripps, and I remember when Cripps used to make these mistakes, like he'd just be adrenaline rush when he was 19, 20, and now you look at him and he's making better and clearer decisions. It's just time. So, yeah, I like what you said about Carroll. He'll be a good player. Matt Carroll, I like the way he goes about it. I think there's times where he needs to opt to kick because he's such a good kick. I feel
Yes.
like he's just been a little bit handball happy or just doesn't have the confidence yet. But I think he can reach that. Yeah, I was happy with the other young guys. Yeah, Moya probably didn't get the reward with his goals. He probably should have probably had a couple, to be honest. Um, but that'll come. I think you got to play him the rest of the year. I don't see a benefit of having him out of the side at all, unless his form gets to a point where it's that bad. But no, I thought he was really good tonight, Moyer and O'Farrell. We both spoke about him. And I know I just read he's the sixth rated Carlton player on the ground tonight. So um, he was just really good. He reads the ball really well. And I did message him before saying, it's very similar to a lot of defenders. They're so skinny. And then, in 5 years down the track, he'll be the leader who's the size of Weeders. You know what I mean? Like it's the same cycle, which is good to see. And he's learning from guys like that. So when a guy can read the ball well, I think that holds him in good stead as a defender. And he's got Haynes and Wiedering and other guys to lean on. So that'll only get better and better. And yeah, Flynn Young showed glimpses. You just got to play him these first 4 games. So he hasn't started an AFL game, the intensity of an AFL game. And, I'm not going to take next week's game easier, but we're playing Melbourne. It's not Brisbane. So it might give him an opportunity to get his hands on the ball a little bit more and show what he can do.
Mm, yeah, I think heading into next week, that's something that I'm slightly excited about. I don't think I'll be overly excited, but just a little bit of excitement knowing that the past few weeks there has been tough opposition, and hopefully that helps us to kind of combine it all together, and then hopefully can find a way to get the job done and get the 4 points. So these guys can have the experience
Mm.
of having a win. Like I don't think Harry O'Farrell's had a win yet in senior
No,
football.
no.
So, and Flynn Young's the exact same. I don't think Ashton Moy, unless he played in the West Coast game last year.
Yeah, he kicked
Okay,
that
he
goal
did.
off the remember the
Yes, he
goal off
did.
the ground. Yes.
Yes, he did. So, yeah, so he's had a bit of exposure. So, more importantly, I just think it will be really good for a lot of these younger guys to kind of just, but not even just the younger guys. I think it's kind of the older heads as well, just learning how to win again. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like it's been a very, very negative season, and we aren't saying that we will walk over Melbourne easily. I
No,
think they're still well and
no.
truly a good side, and they're probably better than us at this point in time. I'm more just saying that they're probably not as good as a Brisbane or Collingwood, and that doesn't mean that it's an easy win. Like, we haven't been anywhere close to beating Brisbane or Collingwood. So let's just hope that we can try and find a way to get the job done against Melbourne. But that will be a next week conversation. It's always crap doing a Thursday night review and knowing that there's still Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of football every day, and we just now have to live with it.
Hmm.
And yeah, realize how good the sides are. But as you said earlier on in the episode, I don't know how many more. I mean, I don't know what more this season really holds
Hmm.
for the Carlton Football Club. It's a really shit time. Like it's
Yeah.
just dead rubbers. We're now just looking forward to 2026 with trade periods and delistings and guys looking good in preseason. It's just it's an absolute shame. But it's 2021 sort of stuff. But let's just hope that this point in
Yep.
time, it's a very, very shit time, but we can move on to 2026 with a bit of a fresh look. Hopefully,
Hmm.
with Graham Wright coming in, maybe with some changes in the assistants. Don't think that will be Michael Voss. I'm hoping it's not Michael Voss, but I think it definitely will be a new playing group as well, Duffy Boy. But um, I guess we'll kind of move on to a few glimpses. Probably the first episode where we've actually been able to touch on some glimpses, some positives for the game. Not saying that we won the game, but more just it was it was a better standard of football, and I think the effort was kind of started by this man, and it was Patrick Cripps, the
Hmm.
leader as always. We are now relying on Patrick Cripps every single week now to kind of get ourselves over the line or even get ourselves close, which is a serious worry. I think there are other guys that kind of was kind of up to his level to an extent from an effort point of view. But I just think in terms of
Hmm.
class and showing what it means to have this guy as captain, it just shows why he's the absolute man. He's probably, I mean, I said to you earlier, he probably has to be in the conversation now of being probably the greatest Carlton Football Club player to
Yeah.
ever play in the navy blue. I think that will be a conversation at the
Yeah.
end of his career. Hopefully that doesn't happen
Hmm.
anytime soon. Hopefully that is also with a premiership or two as premiership captain. But we just don't know what will happen there. But 26 touches, one goal, 10 kicks, 16 handballs, nine clearances as well, six tackles. I think that's kind of a Patrick Cripps kind of game that we've known to love the past few years, David Boy. But how'd you find Cripps' game? I think him.
Hmm.
My point of view was he was very very good around the contest, and when he knew that Dunkley was up against him, I think that almost helped him a little bit because he
Hmm.
knew that he really had to lift his game to really keep
Yep.
his side in it, and I think he did quite well. So how do you think he played tonight?
Yeah, he was great. We talk about moments before with the kicking, and you gotta get those moments back. I don't think that's been a big issue in his game. This year, I'm not saying he's been, dead-eye dick in front of goal, but you get to miss shots. And then when we miss shots as a team, we add all those up together and get more frustrated by every time we miss a shot. So no, I thought he was really good. I thought his second quarter really lifted us in the middle. We were all over him in the middle in that second quarter, which was frustrating because I think we should have been within two goals at halftime, in my opinion. And people might be going, oh, but no, we should, we should. Well, let's be real. The facts are we should have been within two goals. And you don't worry about the past results. Don't worry about how we played. In that first half, we played well enough to be within two to three goals, in my opinion. Then we just let it slip. Like you said, you miss easy shots, and then the good teams make you pay. But yeah, I really liked Cripper's game. Yeah, the conversation of the whole greatest Carlton player. I think there's so many champions. So for me, I think I've read it. People talk about that kind of thing. I think you got to get a premiership. I know it's I'm not saying he will obviously be up there, but there's been a lot of champions, a lot of great players in the past, and I know a lot of people have commented that whenever we've brought that conversation up. So we're not discrediting anyone, but yeah, he's definitely up there. But I think which I think he still can do. Not ruling out a premiership in his career. Right now we're struggling, but I think if we have that mindset of going, oh, then we just go to shit. If we have the mindset of going, okay, we've made the changes, let's fucking clean this up. We've got the fucking star power. We do. And they've played under themselves. Like I said, he's played it under himself a little bit, and his standards are so high because he is the superstar of the competition. But I think he's not past his peak. I think he's still at that stage. If he's pulling out performances like that, and I think he's been okay the last few weeks. So, um, yeah, the whole conversation of the GOAT, I hope he is by the end of it. But there's just so many, and it's good to see a player like that be talked about in that sort of capacity. I know the Dogs have, Bontempelli and other guys, other teams have, Dusties and stuff, and seeing those guys live is we've got to appreciate it. I know this time right now is shit, but seeing him do his thing is great. And I think without him, I think we fall into a deeper hole, in my opinion, not just on field, but just as a mentality point. I think he pretty much keeps these guys up and about because the effort was there, and he's the main leader. So clearly he's getting them to some sort of level to push for four quarters. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've seen teams, our own team, I've seen other clubs spiral, and you just watch them going, they don't care. And he clearly is trying to fucking keep him up in this tough time, Patto. Like you said, we've actually got to stick fat. And I know we laugh at that saying, but we do. This next 6 weeks, we've just got to get through it, like we're going to do on the podcast, and just clean slate, hopefully, next year, and we push for finals because we can't accept anything else but that, in my opinion. The goal always has to be the top eight.
Mm. Is there anything that you're expecting this last 6 weeks of the season that, like, is there anything that you would like to see differently from a Carlton standpoint? I don't think that necessarily has to be wins. But is
Mm,
there anything that's going through your head that you want to see heading into 2026 that you will kind of be happy with? I think we're both quite
mm,
satisfied to an extent with what we saw tonight. And I know that that's kind. I mean, I don't think we're satisfied anywhere near. Like we're not satisfied with a loss,
mm.
but we kind of have to see some positives because if we're doing a podcast, we don't really want to be talking about the same shit every single fucking week. So, and we don't want to be talking about the same stuff every week. Like, I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like already now I'm just over this season already, and I think you can
Mm.
tell. I think all the viewers can tell that I'm just over the season. You're the exact same, and it's now just trying to tick
Yeah.
down these weeks until we can head into 2026 and look a little bit excited. But is there anything that you would like to see for the rest of the season that heading into next year that you can be excited about? Like, what could that be? Like, would it be the younger talent? Would it be some players playing in different roles? Would it be a new game style? Like, what is it that's going through your head right now? It might be a bit of a tough question, but heading into next year, these last 6 weeks, what's kind of
Mm.
going through your head right now that you would like to see to kind of finish 2025?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is just tinkering with it. Well, obviously, the first thing is actually the young guys, seeing them do their thing. Guys like O'Farrell's and Moyes, and going, okay, he's got something about him. Clearly, Moyer does have something about him. We spoke about it during the year. Why is he not getting picked? And then his form in the VFL was a bit low. And then he had a strong month and a half in the twos. And then you go, okay, he's in. And now he's taking grabs and he's got that left and right foot, which I love. And I think he's just one of those, I don't know, there's something about him. There's just something about him. I don't know about you, but it just gets me like, come on.
Yeah, class. Yeah.
Come on, you know what I mean? That third forward we have never had consistently. And we need to find that for next year because when you have Harry and Charlie fit and firing, hopefully next season, and then you add it more into the mix, it makes it his job 10 times easier. He only needs 12 touches a game and two to three goals and a couple of goal assists. So yeah, that stuff, but also for me, which I've been a little bit pissed off with in terms of the game style, is like we've got too many guys on the defensive half of the ground. How many times tonight did we see Jesse Motlop, Flynn Young in D50? Like that's just it's ridiculous when you think about it. You're not seeing Charlie Cameron deep in defence. You're not seeing that's game style. Clearly, they're being told to defend the whole ground as a small forward. I don't mind it in instances where you're like, I've got to go, teammates. There might be a reason where there might be a rotation or someone and they can't get there. But then when there's they're 80 metres out from goal and he's playing at slow Brisbane, and then we've got Jesse Motlop deep getting the crumb off a D50. Like it's not the last minute of the game, Patto. So what I want to see with that is be less defeatist. Try and win. Try and win the game. I don't see there's actually no benefit of having more in defence because what happens then? Repeat entries. And if they just keep getting repeat entry, because you look forward, you got no one to go to. Outnumbers. Brisbane get the ball, they get it back in. If they don't score, what happens? We kick it out, they get the ball back in. It's just a repeat until they score. So you're only delaying the goals. You're not actually stopping the goals in a sense. So yeah, I want to see more forward. That Carlton brand we know is there. It can be there. And we've just avoided it. I think that's why the pressure is on the coaching staff because but that relentless attack, and then we've stopped doing that. You look at last year, the back end of last year, there was an 8 week patch where we were just brutal. We were fucking brutal. We had quarters where we were scoring 50. We're struggling to score 50 in games. That's infuriating to me that they let that happen for what is it now? Round 18. It's not unleash the shackles, but it's a little bit like we're a bit tight. We play a bit like too structured in a sense, where we're like trying to control every possession rather than look at guys like Kerno. They want the ball just coming in, and that's why he can't get goals. I don't know, and it's 0 goals, 9 doesn't help, but also these like teams like them, they get shots for Logan Morris straight in front of goal because they find a way to get it in quick. We just don't.
Yeah. 0 goals not is that what it's been for the past 4 weeks?
Yep.
So that was
Yep.
North,
Fourth.
Port,
Yep.
Collingwood. That's crazy.
He's got the yips. Fuck, they're bad, aren't they? In any sport, have you ever had the yips in tennis? In terms of just performance wise?
Every week.
Yeah. So, but there's always patches. It's not me letting him get away with it. I think his last 2 weeks have been really good in terms of presenting at the footy. But he's got the yips. Like, you can't explain it. It's a mental thing. And he looked. What I liked about him the last few weeks, has been a bit of a feel like it's hit him hard that the pressure on him, and you can see the frustration when he misses. It's like that kind of he's holding back a bit of anger that he feels from his own set shot kicking, and it's infuriating. Imagine being in control and missing. We're frustrated. Imagine being the guy kicking it and missing. And people go, oh, he doesn't care. But I can kind of tell a bit of a shift in the way he's played the last few weeks. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but I think I like that shift because we've been a bit worried about him because we know what we love him. We love him. And I know he can be that guy for us. And I think for next
Mm,
year, him, Harry, get fucking fit and fucking kill these teams because we know they can.
yeah. I think the past, well, probably, yeah, well, probably since the North game, that the whole way that he kind of went about himself and presented
Mm,
himself, I think that had to come into question because if you can pull up like that, that's fine, but you have to perform, but you didn't perform. So
mm,
I think he's kind of realizing. I mean, I probably wouldn't be surprised if the club or even Michael Voss personally has kind of put him up and said, "Look, this is just isn't
yeah.
what we fucking stand for
Mm,
with our values." And I know that I've mentioned that a lot the past few episodes with values and standards. And did you see a shift with that, like tonight from a like standards and values point of view? I personally think I did. I think
yeah.
when players went down, I think two or three players came over and lifted him like up and tapped him on the bum. Which I know that small things like that, I don't think it matters because we still lost the game tonight.
Mm,
But I just think small things like that, if we're getting used to doing that every single fucking contest, when a guy goes down, I think it's good to see that. Even when Flynn Young had that high tackle on with Cam Rayner, I think a few players came over and just gave Rayner a bit of stick, but it's not even giving the player, like the
Nah.
opposition player, stick. It's just more like trying to get around that young player. Like he's playing his first full game, starting on the ground in the first quarter. Like he's not playing his sub. I know it's his third game, but he's really not played a lot of senior
Yeah.
football. So him coming in and kind of already facing a big player
Mm.
like Cam Rayner, um, and for leaders to go over it. But even there was one of them as well with Matthew Carroll when he made that first
Yes.
mistake. Charlie Curnow, I literally saw on the
Yes.
broadcast, he came over and said,
Mm.
all good, mate, move on.
Yeah.
See, that's what I want to see from Charlie because I think he can be a bit of a intimidating, player. Let's be real. But
Absolutely.
also, if he comes over and says, "Mate, all good,
Mm.
move on," like that's exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if he went up to Karen and said, "Mate, well done. Like that's exactly what we want from you. Keep doing it. Play with freedom." Like I
Mm.
think Cowan's done that, and he's still a young player. I think Ollie Hollands has done that, but people tend to shit on him because he makes mistakes. But the exact same thing with Mitch McGovern, and I know that Mitch McGovern is older, so it's probably more,
Mm.
I guess,
Yeah.
reasonable if we're shitting on McGovern because he is older and he's on more money and he's been in the AFL system for more years. But all these guys, what they have in common is they're trying to take the game on. But when they
Mm.
make mistakes by trying to take the game on, we tend to shit on them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say because I know that you're a big fan of those certain players because you love
Yeah.
to see these guys take the game on. But try and touch on those games as the McGoverns with the Carrolls and the Hollands and the Cowans, but also with the leaders, kind of like the Haynes as well, getting up and saying, "All good, dude. Like, let's go."
Mm.
And I
Mm.
think it kind of started with a statement in the selection with Blake Acres. That's exactly what we wanted. If you do not stick by the standards and if you aren't executing
Mm.
your role with what Blake Acres was doing the past few weeks, you're getting dropped. So I
Mm.
think that's kind of told a lot of players tonight, you need to stick to the standards and the values. And then if you do that every single fucking week, you're in my side. And obviously I'm talking about Michael Voss
Yeah.
from a Michael Voss standpoint. But how'd you find that tonight? Like, I know the leaders were really good and trying to stick by those younger players, but more importantly, those guys who take the game on. How'd you see all
Mm.
those things I just said?
Yeah, I think that moment with Charlie stood out to me. He kind of, because the good thing about Charlie is his personality. I think he's just in those few weeks using it in the wrong kind of way. And we all know he's a different cat. That's why he is the superstar he is, because there'd be moments in games where he takes a mark and it's 2 points of difference and pops it on his right foot from 55, in those tense moments. And we go, he doesn't care, but it's more locking in. He's always locked in and he's not afraid to do those types of things. So that moment was great because what he did, he came over and Carroll kind of had a bit of a laugh. Like not in a bad way though. It was more like he probably might have said something funny to him to lighten himself up.
Mm,
That's what Charlie is. He's not Cripps.
yeah.
He might have said, something, head up, and said something funny. Not in a unprofessional way, but more
Mm,
to get him, just forget about it.
yeah.
Just
He's a
forget about
kid.
it. Have a laugh.
Mm,
And people might go, oh, what the fuck is he laughing for? Sport is a very interesting minefield, I think, in my opinion. I'm sure with your tennis, and you want to kind of lighten up a person, or if you have a teammate that looks down after a mistake, you kind of want to laugh up and go, come on, dickhead, come on, you're better than that. Like a bit of a laugh. And then they forget about it, and then they move on to the next moment. So, yeah, really happy with the way Charlie's gone about it. It's disappointing his goal kicking because ultimately that's where his impact is on the game. I know stats-wise, I know he had an impact on the game, but he needs to be kicking those goals. But loved his leadership, and I love the leadership of Haynes. I think he's been phenomenal this year, and the way he's been playing, and just the way he presents and all that. And what was it? What was the other? What was the other point? The other part of the question. It was more, oh, the guys taking on the game. Yeah, I do love those types of players.
you do.
The modern game of football, you look at Brisbane, guys like Zorko, he's always taking the middle kick. Even if they fuck it up, he tries it again. It's almost trying to like bang the rock and it bursts. That's what good teams do. Look at Collingwood, even when they struggle. Yeah, I look at that Melbourne game, I was there sitting level 4, and I hate them. I hate their guts at football club, especially after what's happened today. And I don't know if we need to touch on it. It's just a fuck with being, a typical Collingwood supporter, but their willingness to keep on driving the ball in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. And I think if we have more players like that, we can get out of this hole quickly. Because once you start turning missed kicks into hitting kicks in the middle of the ground, what happens to that? You're going forward and scoring more. So yeah, really pleased with guys taking it on. I think Carroll probably would like to have those two moments back.
Yeah, of
He
course.
probably took a little bit long with those two, but like I said earlier, the mistakes are going to come for young guys. This is what I'm thinking. We're all calling for the young guys to play. So if you're not expecting mistakes, I think you're a little bit silly. I think you're a little bit silly. With Farrell last week, he might have made a few mistakes, and we talk about it. You're allowed to talk about it, but if you're fucking bagging him,
Yeah, have to
then
respect it.
then what's the point of playing them then? So yeah, the mistakes are going to come, and you see it with every AFL player, even the best.
And let's be real, all of these best, like the greatest of all time, they were all kids as well. So
Yeah.
they all had to kind of learn how to go about week to week of being a professional footballer. And to be fair, I think Matthew Carroll, like since he's come into the side, I think he's actually been quite good. And even when he's gotten dropped the past probably month or two, when he has been omitted from the side, we always kind of say, oh, it is a little bit stiff. And
Mhm.
even like in our preview shows, if he's out in our selection, we kind of always say, oh, it is a little bit stiff because actually has been quite solid. And I know that I also had O'Farrell in my outs as well last episode. And first thing I said was very, very stiff.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
just think that he needs to go back to the VFL. But once again, I think having exposure to the AFL, I mean, I probably wouldn't mind if he does go back to the VFL. But if he keeps playing like that,
Keep an eye.
then it
Yeah.
will be very, very hard to drop him.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think it's exciting to have these guys kind of evolve as a professional footballer. More importantly, at senior level, I think Ashton Moore is going to be
Yeah.
so much better next year for what he's shown tonight. I know he kicked 0 goals, three, but it's moments where he knows that he's good enough at this level, and if he goes back and actually executes that moment, that's going to help him
Mhm.
really like the next few years. But you mentioned there about that moment with the Collingwood member. For the people that don't know, because it came out today, with the whole hate message on Michael Voss, and we were kind of ashamed from a Carlton standpoint
Yeah.
because we were like, well, how could one of our own
Mm.
kind of speak about our coach like that, and that kind of really angered us. But when it was found out that he was a Collingwood fucking member, that just shows to me
Mm.
that is just your typical Collingwood supporter maggot
Yeah.
who
More worried about giving shit to the other team
just
than like.
enjoy being on top of the ladder.
And it looked, obviously the message was, there was 22 guys missing. That part, I think that part of the message was the issue. I think the second part of it was a piss take message. Clearly, he would have had a few beers, thought it would have been funny to go the antisocial thing message. And he said, the preemptive of Michael Voss's murder. You just take that step too far. And I think I've always said it when we lose to Collingwood, whenever they beat us, and I'm all good for rubbing it in, righto. But every time they beat anyone,
They're
they never
terrible.
celebrate. Like, you knew you were going to beat us, right? You knew you were going to smash us. You're top of the ladder. Imagine if we were top of the ladder. Would we be worrying about messaging the fucking antisocial? Would be here on Baggers Chat with fucking balloons
Enjoy
celebrating the top
exactly.
ladder. So yeah, people would go, oh, it's just a stereotype. Just a it is a you couldn't, I'm not going to say every supporter of Collingwood is like this. I know some personally, but gee, there's a lot of them like that.
What a
Yeah. It's
disgrace.
that mindset. It's that even if they won the premiership, they'd get the first thing they'd do.
Is give it
Yeah.
to the opposition.
You fucking idiots. You
Yeah.
fucking idiots. Like it's just a weird mentality. They're just weird people, Patto. That's all.
Mm,
They're just weird.
yeah. Very. Yeah. I think the mindset that you were kind of speaking about is just very like
Mm.
very toxic. I think straight
Yeah.
away they go to negativity. When I think, I mean, from a Carlton point of view, I think we are like this, where if we were to win a game, we are more of the side of being arrogant because we celebrate too much. And I probably would rather be like that rather than like if I'm at a game and Carlton win and there's a Carlton supporter, I mean, and there's a Collingwood supporter walking in front of me. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, go, mate. I mean, I might put in a bit of
Might
banter,
be a bit extra, or
but
you might go a bit louder than you usually do.
yeah,
But look, there's banter, but there's just a line, in my opinion. I think
yeah,
And you always get to rub it in. Like when we beat Collingwood, we always rub it in, with the whole Murphy giving the bird that year and all that kind of stuff. Like that's just a part of the game. But the priority for me is, which I like with our supporter base, is when we win games, we win it together and we celebrate together. And people have a go at us for that. And I seriously love that about Carlton. Like even this year's been shit. I feel like some of those wins I felt really good about. Look at Geelong. I left the stadium with a pep in my step because you saw everyone with a smile on their face walking out of the stadium going, fuck yeah, we fucking did that. Even the Saints game, I know I said it's a struggle, but I just, Harry kicking that goal, I just felt like, it's just that, I mean, you walk out of the stadium with that happiness, so. And we haven't had a win for a while now, Patto, so we got to enjoy. We got to enjoy when it comes.
Yeah, but to be fair, if it was against St Kilda, I probably would be a bit of like the fuck you guys, you fucking yeah,
But,
come
the,
on, you.
but, but that would be the second option. You'd celebrate the win first, and then you'd go up your ass. It's not the other way around. Where I think Collingwood, like they
Yeah,
kick the goal, and their first thing is not come on. They're
you
looking for
guys suck. Yeah,
someone to be a victim of their shit talk. Yeah.
yeah.
We're not talking about Collingwood anymore. Fuck 'em.
Oh, it's a crap. It's an absolute crap mindset. Yeah, I think for the people that weren't aware, with the information that came out tonight, I think that was a good thing to touch on. Because obviously, I think a lot of people would be aware with what happened with Michael Voss with the threat message, but I just think that to come out and say that it was a Collingwood member kind of shows that all Carlton supporters are somewhat normal, and unfortunately, there are very unnormal Collingwood supporters out there.
I also wonder, after that came out, do you reckon a Carlton supporter did the graffiti?
Yeah,
Well, I always find it funny. Well, like, if you're a Collingwood supporter, why wouldn't you go down and do it like that? It's funny though. It's a thing
mm,
to think about, in my opinion, because
mm.
always think it's a Carlton supporter, and we all thought it was a Carlton supporter with this situation. It is funny to think about. That's just what my immediate thoughts went to, because you go, well, imagine that.
Mm.
That's how you get your rivals to be arguing at each other. Just fucking do something like that, which is what that guy clearly did, and he was found out for because he's an idiot.
What a dickhead! What a just the yeah. Hopefully, let's just pray that 2026 we are better.
Oh,
And
please.
that first match against the Pies, or you just fucking wait, Duffy boy, or just something. I mean, today, yeah, just something today, or just
Oh,
hearing that today and knowing that he was a
keep the
Collingwood
receipts.
supporter, and the
Keep
amount
them.
of people that we kind of turned on because we thought he was a Carlton supporter who did that, and finding out he was fucking Collingwood. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
but
Keep the receipts, Pato.
yeah.
That's
I've,
all.
don't you worry, mate. I'm writing every single one of these down, and as soon as it happens, as soon as we win the grand final, I'm texting every single Collingwood supporter out there and letting him know about it. But let's now move on, Def Boy, to probably our last point before we move on to some votes. And I think it has to be mentioned. It's been a conversation on Baggage Chat for many, many years now. The Ruck combination, if it does work, if it doesn't work. I think tonight it was shown that it obviously does not work, but I think we can find a bit of light at the end of the tunnel if TDK does choose to leave because he is money hungry to the St Kilda Football Club. Let's hope he doesn't leave and he stays at the football club because we all know how good of a player he can be. But we also know that it is a lot of money, and if he does turn down the offer of Carlton to join St Kilda, I will understand. But as we always love to say, we will not be accepting any 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 positives and saying, "Yep, mate, like go on, you won't be receiving anything from me that's anything positive." So don't you worry about that, Tom. If you are listening to this episode right now, but more importantly, we need to touch on Mark Pitnet. So his game tonight, probably the best game I've seen him play in navy blue. Not just because he kicked the 2 goals, but I think every single time he got around the footy, but also the moments that he had. Um, I think it was exactly what we kind of needed from a ruckman like him. And I know that we mentioned in the previous show, Mark Pitnet can be evolved into a Tristan like to a Tristan Cherry to an extent. It's actually hard to say that Tristan Cherry. It's actually a
Yeah.
hard name to. I mean, I used to say Cherry or Tristan, but it's actually hard to say that combined. But I think he probably can be our ruckman like a cherry if he really
Yeah.
does go and have a big preseason. And obviously, if TDK does find his way to St Kilda, it could open up an avenue for Mark Pitnet. But how'd you find Pitto's game tonight, Daffy Boy, with his 2 goals, 35 hitouts? Had 7 more than the second best Oscar McInerney, who obviously made his return tonight. But he also played a hell of a lot more ruck minutes than TDK. I think he was probably 80% to 20% split. And I noticed that Mark Pitnet didn't really come off the ground a lot as well. He was around the contest a lot. So I think I've found a big positive with him, with how well he played, but also how fit he's looking at the moment, and
Mm.
how much he actually, to me, it shows that he actually wants to win every single game. Like even that Will Ashcroft moment when he kicked that goal and there was 5 or 6 players
Mm.
on that goal line, he looked fucking pissed.
Yeah,
And I
well,
just wanted to mention
I
that
think it was
quickly.
his. I think it was his mistake because you look at Wiedering had his man, and then this is not. I'm not trying to nitpick Pito here. I thought he was great, but yeah, that was a moment. I think he should have been on the line.
Yeah, yeah. I think he was more frustrated because he also had a man as well.
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
actually look at the vision, I think there were
Mm,
two, like Weeders and Pitto are probably the 2 guys that actually had a man, and there were
mm.
3 or 4 other guys that were doing absolutely nothing. So he was probably more just like, what the fuck? Like, what else do you want me or Jacob to do? It's unbelievable. But I'll throw straight to you, Mark Pitnet in his game tonight, Duffy Boy, but also the right combination. TDK obviously is not a forward. It does not work. So come season's end, we have to sort out what that would look like. Hopefully, TDK still hasn't made a decision, and he might have a bit of doubt with joining St Kilda, and he might end up signing on a Carlton. I'm not too sure, but how'd you find these two ruckmen tonight?
Yeah, I thought Pito was good. I thought he had more touches than he ended up with. He only had
Mm,
he had 7.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's
and that
interesting.
shows though that like every touch you got, it was impactful.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I was trying to refresh the AFL app, but not having a go at big strength. But yeah, no, I thought he was really good. I think it was obviously highlighted by the 180-meter barrel. I think it's going to get bigger and bigger by the days go by for Big Pito. But
Malcolm Blight,
it was just the
Mark Pitnet.
Malcolm Pitnet. But we got to have a laugh. But yeah, no, I thought he was good around the contest. I think that's what he brings. You said it in the preview. His ability to turn his hit outs into first use for our midfielders is important because we're such a contest-based team. So, and even if you aren't a contest-based team, I think if your ruckman finds a way to get the ball to you first, more often than not, then that you're going to win more clearances and hopefully give yourself a chance to win with those clearances. But yeah, I really liked his game, and like you said with De Koning, he actually ended up with more touches than Pitt. I'm not saying impact wise. I thought Pitto was obviously more impactful, but yeah, for me, I don't know what you can expect from De Koning. I'm not saying I thought he had some little, I thought his effort was okay. I thought it was better than I know, but it's like playing. He looked like Bambi out there playing forward, Patto. There's certain players that just can't play forward, and he can't full time. He's in the forward meetings. Like he's our best ruckman, and he's in the forward meetings with fucking Fogarty and Durden. Like, let's be real here. Like, imagine sitting there going, "Fuck." Like, I'm leaving. Even if he isn't, I'm sitting here in the forward group. I know I'm better than Pitto.
Listening to Russell.
That would be the cherry on top. Going, fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm getting on the first taxi to Moorabbin.
In taxi.
Taxi, Uber. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. I was happy with Pitto. I still think if De Koning goes, they will bring someone in. I think doesn't. I'm not saying they're going to be a lock to be the number one, but it might be someone we don't even know.
Mm.
Could be some, sometimes there's random players you go, free agent from fucking Melbourne who's playing for Casey or something. I don't know. This is me just pulling out of nowhere, but, clearly everyone has, talking about Marshalls and guys like that. I look at the Marshall situation, and my issue is that we lose TDK and then we get the compo pick, and then we give the compo pick to St Kilda. So they end up with TDK and the compo pick. I actually think.
No, yeah,
I
yeah,
honestly think we shouldn't do that. I think he's worth it, but it's almost like
yeah, no,
the same fielder. Like we're not going to lose our best ruckman for nothing, and then give you the pick that
yeah,
we
yeah.
ended up with for that. So yeah, that kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not sure what you think, but I think you probably had the same feeling. I'm not saying like if Marshall was available and that pick had to be used, it's just because like we lose TDK, get the combo pick, and then essentially give it to St Kilda, who already knew Marshall was probably going to go. Like that would leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I don't.
Mm, yeah, that will obviously be a the conversation, very interesting conversation come the end of the year. With trade talk and all of that. I know that you feel the exact same way. I think we both would love Ron Marshall at the football club because I think he's that very good, like a very good ruckman. But just from another point of view of just like the amount, like how much St Kilda annoy us, and with the whole sauce situation and just the
Yeah.
disrespect and fucking if we just fucking give Saints our
Mm.
best ruckman and then also give them probably arguably they probably will ask for a first round pick. They probably can ask for a first round pick. Let's be real for Marshall.
Mm.
I just feel like I just think we have to look elsewhere, and then St Kilda can be left with what the fuck do we do? Because now we've just signed TDK and no
Mm.
one wants Marshall. That would be something that I would love to laugh at. And let's hope that something similar happens to Collingwood, because let's be real, karma is real. Something will
Yeah.
happen to Collingwood the next few years. Karma will fucking come, and don't you worry, it will come eventually, and hopefully it happens maybe this year in a certain
Yeah.
grand final, Daffy Boy. But before we move on to our votes, Daffy Boy, I just thought I would touch on also about Orazio Fantasia doing the hamstring injury. Very, very unfortunate, because even when he kicked that first goal, our first goal, he was looking very, very good, and it was probably the only really shining light in that first quarter. And he looked very, very solid. But as soon as he went down, it opened up an opportunity for Cooper Lord, who I still think shouldn't be sub. I think there's a lot of players who should be moved out of the side so Cooper Lord can get a bit more opportunity. I can't believe he started as sub tonight, but I guess you can't really start Flynn Young again as a
Yeah.
sub. But how do you? I mean, obviously it will be quite a negative conversation about Fantasia, because now you have to think about what this will mean heading into next year, because we kind of want this guy to be our small forward, but he just simply can't get on the park like consecutive weeks. Like, he was very good in the preseason, had an injury, probably played a good probably 5 or 6 week block this probably
Um,
last probably 2 months, and then now he's injured again. So that's a big worry. But how'd you find Fantasia's probably first half? I think he went off halfway through that third quarter by memory, but how'd you kind of find his game, and how much of a loss is this now? Because now our small forwards, there is not a lot.
yeah. I think, you know, it's a worry. It's a worry. Like it's worry for him, I think, personally for his career. Like it's not he's not just had these issues at Carlton, he's had these at Essendon, he's had it at Port, he barely played any games. That's my worry.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not I think you're spot on. I think he's been great. I think he's been playing good footy. But for me, like the only way he probably gets in next year is a final list spot, if not on the list, because we can't do it. We can't do it anymore.
Mm.
And he might be good enough. But what if we get to next year, we're playing good footy, he's dominating, and then Hammy. Like you know, we've had these issues before with those types of players, and it's nothing to do with his ability. But that's the hard luck of football sometimes. So there's going to have to be a decision with him. Do they trust him to get his body right? I don't,
No.
because it's just an unlucky thing. Nothing against him.
Mm.
Same with Jack Martin. I know Jack Martin's playing in Geelong, but there will be a time we have the same thing, Patto. He had 8 weeks, Jack Martin, where he'd be killing it. And we going, oh, here we go. Here we fucking go. And then he'd do the hammy when you least expect it. That'll happen, trust me. And I'm not wishing injuries. I hope it doesn't happen for his personal sake. But we had the same situation. If we keep going, oh, Elijah will get out of this rut that he's in. Oh, Razio, you look at it and you go, do we give, you know, a guy like Ben Ainsworth a call from the Gold Coast Suns, who was a target. I love the way he goes about it. I have
Mm,
a bit of a joke with my old man every time the Gold Coast play. I'm like, oh, that's my boy Ainsworth. I just love the way he goes about it. And
mm,
there was a bit of talk on Channel 7 pre-game that he could be one of the targets. So there was a few targets in there going, fuck, these are genuine C graders. I'm looking at on my screen, but he's a player, in my opinion, we should be going after that type. And then if you get a player like that, Patto, where does that leave Fantasia? Where does that leave Hollands? You know what I mean? And I know they have the ability, nothing to do with that. But if they can't get on the park as consistently as Ainsworth can, then does it matter what if he might be worse than well, he probably to be honest, he's probably better than Orazio in terms of his consistency.
100%.
But then you go, there's the door. He's
Mm,
a guy who's played consistent footy, stayed fit. You know, another part of being a good footballer, that longevity. Not longevity, but consistency with your body. Like, good teams do it. Brisbane do it. They lost all their players last year, but they have other guys that step up.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I mentioned, I think last episode or even the episode before about the kind of model of being a professional footballer and one of the best, like even sports people as well. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
just AFL. Is obviously to go out there consistently and perform every single week, but also to actually go out there consistently and be able to manage your body. And yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable that how many players we have on our list and how many players we've had in the probably past 5 years. We can even mention Caleb Marchbank as well. David Cunningham's another one. And we speak about talent, and these guys just simply cannot get on the park. And it frustrates living daylight out of me seeing Jack Martin playing good football at Geelong. And of course, we keep a guy like Horizon Fantasia, who I seriously do rate. I think
Mm,
he definitely can be our small forward that we've
absolutely.
been crying out for, but he just can't stay on the park. And we've got another guy like Zach Williams who we
He's
know
not
his
good.
injury. Yeah, yeah, but like I mean, we know who that. We don't really know if we can trust him with his body. I think we hopefully can eventually, but we just don't know because who knows he can pop a hamstring the next few months or the next few weeks, and also Mitch McGovern's the same in the same conversation with that as well. There's just too many players, and hopefully these guys can get some continuity heading into 2026. And what we've been crying out for is a full preseason with a lot of these guys. And I think Zach Williams this year has been relatively
Yeah. Yeah.
fit. And same with Mitch McGovern as well. So hopefully that gives some confidence with these guys heading into next year and really try and tackle. And also Adam Chera to an extent as well. I know that he's had a
That
few.
has hurt him.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that he's had a few soft tissue injuries. Has he been injured a lot this year? He hasn't,
Well,
has he?
he worked on he went to Qatar in the off
Yes.
season,
Yeah,
which
so
was
he hasn't
great.
been.
And that hurts you too. Like
Yeah,
we know, like we've been saying, oh, he can't reach that level. I think he can. If he can get, like, I think he has that mentality to get there.
yeah,
And those issues don't help. You look at
yeah,
Walt, that's held him back the last few years, but his first 3, 4 years, he barely missed a game. I think he had I don't know how many games in a row he played from his debut, but
yeah. Mm,
he was playing and getting better and better and better. I think he can see the light at the end of the tunnel, in my opinion, Walshy. I just think when you have that, you have one in the season and then you have the foot, and then it's like, just let him fucking have the year off, have the break, get fucking fit. Because if we get these guys fit, Pato, it'll go a long way. I'm not saying it's an excuse. It's almost becoming a reason for our seasons derailing. It is. It's a
mm,
reason.
mm.
And, we're not playing good enough, and people go, we have a good enough team. But if you have guys coming in and out all the time for injury,
It doesn't help.
like that's the thing. Like a long-term injury. Look at Brisbane last year, and everyone talked about the ACLs. Of course, they were massive, but it was in round 9 that all those guys were out. And that team from round 10 onwards, guys like Morris, they had 15 plus weeks to get the team right to win the premiership. You know, we just have guys coming in and out all the time, which is just unfortunate, I think, at the moment. A lot of them are, foot things that you can't avoid, knees, surgeries with Charlie at the start of the year, Harry with his knee. The positive is it's less soft tissues. I know Orazio is I think he's just got bad soft tissues. I think that's not a Carlton issue. I think it's more of a his issue. But like I said, can we get into round 1 next year versus Richmond with the full fucking team? full fucking team because I don't think we drop a shit game like that to Richmond with Kerno fit, Harry in a mental space. He wasn't right mentally at the start of the year, and you could see it on the field in that first game.
Just take me to round one, 2026. Hopefully, there's no opening round. That's all I'll say. Hopefully, there's no opening round. Or if there is an opening round,
We're
just
not
play every
one.
team.
Yeah, yeah.
Seriously, like just play every fucking team, Daffy boy. So, I don't know why it's so
Mm.
hard to ask that, but we're already talking about opening round 2026. Boy, oh boy, where are we? But Daffy boy, let's see how we move on to a bagger of the game votes for the people who don't know what we do for the voting system. We go through three, two, one. Three votes for the best player on the ground, two votes for the second best player on the ground, and one vote for the third best player on the ground. So, David Boy, throw straight to you. Carlton plays only for the bag of the game votes. Who have you got?
All right, I'll go through these pretty quickly. One vote, George Hewitt.
Love it.
Thought he was good tonight. I think he ended up with 33 and a goal. Put himself in the right places. I thought he struggled the last 3 weeks before this game. He was just getting in, just making mistakes that he wasn't making at the start of the year. But tonight he cleaned that up a little bit, or a fair bit, in my opinion, and which has led to him in the votes. Two votes, Patrick Cripps. I thought he was fantastic. Probably could have been best on, but in my opinion, they go up to three votes.
Love it.
I think without him, we wouldn't have had the energy in the middle. I think it's more of an impact thing. You look at the stats, and you probably go, "What the fuck are you talking about, Daff?" Cripps should get the three, but big, big Pitto with the three votes for me. I did have a good laugh when he kicked the goal from, I'll say 200 meters now. Patto gets bigger by every minute. It'll be 300 meters by the end of the week, but no, really good. And then the second goal, he was just up and about when he got that that mark he took. He had the eyes for the ball the whole way. I haven't seen any of our forwards have the eyes for the ball the whole way.
Mm.
What that is, I take a fucking mark, Pat. I didn't know these guys who get paid hundreds and thousands of dollars could realise that, but I won't get too deep into that. But yeah, happy with Pitto, and it's probably his first three votes in a while. I'm not sure if he's ever got three.
I don't reckon he's ever polled a vote.
He would have been in the vote, I reckon. Surely in 23, because he had a few big games in terms of hit outs and stuff. I think there was a game, I think it might have been Giants last year, where he got a vote for me because I think he had 23 or something like that and killed Briggs in that game where we were down by 4 goals and then Charlie went on a rampage.
Yeah, I can actually remember that game well. I think that was the
Yeah.
week after I got back from America because I know that I flew in on the Adelaide game the week
Uh,
before, and I can remember that game so well where we lost, and I'm like, I can remember falling asleep through the third quarter and waking up with like 5 minutes to go, and I'm like, I just wish I stayed asleep.
yeah, that game was pure hell, but
Oh my
four
god!
and 0 versus 0 and 4. I think
Oh
can't
my
lose
god!
that.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm actually I will say. I will be very surprised if he's gotten a vote. Because I was thinking about it, I'm like, there's no way this guy's got a vote. But maybe
Surely,
he has, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm trying to think of it. I'm like, has he
which
been
one?
in
Surely
our yeah.
2022 or 2022 or 2023 he would have.
I feel like it's definitely his first three vote game.
Yeah, he had a few. Yeah, first three.
Yeah.
Yeah, big pit.
Yeah, for the big pit. Yeah, no, love it. I will give a bit of a spoiler. My one vote was George Hewitt, but usually I let you go first because I usually want to try and shape my votes to. I mean, if it's clear, I will keep it the same. But there was one player that I thought you may have gone with, so I'll go with this guy for the one vote, and it's Nick Haynes. He just keeps on doing his thing.
Yeah,
23 disposals, not as many marks tonight, but I don't think it was really a marking sort of game tonight from a Carlton point of view. I know that Brisbane had a lot of markers, especially in that last quarter when they really tried to just go defense mode. Wilmot had 14 marks. Fletcher had 11 marks. Jared Berry had 10 marks. Archie, who was a sub, had nine marks. Zorka had 9. Neil had 9. Harris Andrews had 7. So it's just crazy. But yeah, I think that kind of shows that it wasn't very much a marking sort of game tonight from a Carlton point of view. But yeah, Nick Haynes, 1 vote for me, 2 votes. I'll give it to Pitto. Was going to give him the 3, but I just think this guy just seriously was the only sort of midfielder that really, I mean, other than George Short, that really to me showed why he's so important for so many, or why he's been so important for so many years, and why he's by far like he should be our captain for as many years that he could play professional football, because we absolutely love Patrick Cripps, and he will definitely be getting my 3 votes. He will definitely be getting the 3 votes from me tonight. So I absolutely loved his game, and yeah, he's just showing what a leader is all about, and we are very, very lucky to have him at the Carlton Football Club. So, Daffy Boy, before we wrap up the review episode for the Brisbane Lions, it probably was a bit more of a light-hearted sort of episode. The past few review episodes have been very, very negative, but we wanted to try and head into tonight having no expectations. And since we did see a bit of a shift with some young guys providing some energy, but also Mark Pitnet doing really well, Cripps showing his thing, George Short also showing his thing, which what he was doing for most of this year. I think it was really good, and hopefully that's some energy that we can use for the rest of the year heading into 2026. But before we wrap up this episode, is there anything else you would like to say?
Let's just get through this next few weeks and hopefully the changes are made that we want to be changed. But like I've said, and I'm sure people have listened to what I've said in the last few weeks, I'm still optimistic of what this group can do in the future. Not this year. I'm ruling that out. I think that's just they just know it's done. They're mentally finished this year. Just make the right fucking decisions and work your ass off to become a better team, and then the results will come. I can guarantee it. We've seen it enough with these players. That's why it's so frustrating. These players out there have won fucking finals, Patto. I know it was emotion, but you still got to win them. You still got to win them. They're not easy things to win. So clearly we're doing something right in that state. And last year, let's be real, we were second for most of the fucking year. I think people forget that too. I think because of the last month, 5 weeks was shit last year, that they forgot that we were, in the top four in round 19. Like if you told me that every year, I'd probably be going, fuck yeah, that's elite. But it wasn't meant to be at the back end of last year. It's not meant to be this year. Let's just see improvement next year and get some more youngsters ready.
How are we going to do the rest of the year? It's
We'll do
just,
it. We'll do it.
yeah. I mean, of course we will, but it's just going to be like, there's no way that we can just dish up the same sort of stuff every week. As we said, I think it was better tonight, but
Mm.
yeah, it needs to change, and it needs to change quickly, because I think um, even like these players need to be playing for Michael Voss. Because if they keep on dishing up the same sort of shit, Michael Voss won't be there for much longer. So, yeah, well said, Daffy Boy. Always a pleasure doing episodes with you, mate. Appreciate you joining us from Byron Bay as well. So if you can leave a comment for Daffy Boy in the odd comments, please do, because he didn't have to do that, but he took some time out of his holiday in Byron Bay to take some time to get on the episode. So please leave a comment for him if you can in the comments. But to every single blue bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We do understand it's a crap time at the moment as a Carlton supporter, but if you do want to join in for some Carlton content, please do on our YouTube channel. But also we have podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music as well. That's only an audio version. So the best way to support that side of things is a 5-star rating. So if you do enjoy our content on those platforms, please give us a 5-star rating, because it definitely does help us grow the channel. And also check out our socials, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn as well, X as well. There's a few others out there that we are on at the moment. But to you, Daffy Boy, and to every single blue bagger out there,
Up the
the
bags.
baggers.